frequently asked questions is what we're doing. James Bergman, the Intuitive Songwriting, is who's here. Hello, James.
Hey.
We are going to jump right into it with the exciting questions that everybody wants to know about the people of Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to start with a high-stakes question. Which is your favorite? Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, or Marvel?
Oh, it's definitely Star Wars, but Marvel's it's close.
I didn't throw Marvel in there beforehand.
You didn't. That threw me off.
Because I told you a little bit about it before we went, but it's actually Marvel's what's written there.
Oh,
so
there it is.
I did. But so Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking with Star Wars.
I'd say.
Even after The Acolyte, which I guess everybody hated. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
All I heard was how much everybody hates it.
Yeah. No, I think so. I'm really loving some of the shows. Like Andor was really good. Like,
well, come on, Andor is good. Yes, that one I saw. That was very good.
Yeah, it feels really, really amazing to kind of understand the Empire.
Sure.
And to get a little bit of a picture behind it, and it feels like seeing how like gritty and dark, and just like that's the world that they were living in. That's what they were fighting against. Like that's why there's a rebellion. Because like look at that.
I always love seeing the bad guy's point of view.
Oh, yeah.
That gets me in a lot of trouble, though.
I feel that.
But to me, what I like about, and I think people see it almost the wrong way. They're like, oh, you're just, because there's a lot of that going on in our media where it takes it from the bad guy's point of view. And it's like, oh, you're just justifying bad behavior with this gray moral relativism. I don't know that it's that so much as I think it's good almost to show like, no, evil, and there's a term for this, the banality of evil. Have you ever heard that term before?
It sounds familiar, but you could spell it out.
Well, so evil so infrequently is evil. Some guy, twiddling his fingers and his mustache going, I'm going to commit evil today, and you watch with like Skeletor and the Council of Evil, right? That's not how evil works. Evil is good-intentioned people who are like, we're going to build a strong empire in order to protect the galaxy. And it's not, some Palpatine figure in the back end. It's more, more often, at least what I've seen, the most atrocious evil acts committed are by people who believe in what they were doing and believe they're doing what's best.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think it also like that idea of like so often in these shows you hear them talking about, oh, we need to bring order to the universe.
Yeah.
And just realizing, I think there's something really, really insightful about seeing the stories of, anti-heroes or, the villains, because, I think we all have pieces of our story that's just like, oh, that was not me at my best.
Sure.
And I think being able to realize, oh, there is something to this idea that, well, even if I'm not doing the right thing all the time, there's almost like something redemptive about realizing we all have a little bit of this in us, but we have the choice to make as to like what that looks like. But again, it takes a lot of introspection, and it takes a lot of, asking questions that, some people don't want to hear out loud.
Very good. I'm glad we could talk about Marvel or Star Wars that way.
Right.
Okay. Here's an interesting question, because you are from Canada. It's colder up there, right?
A little bit.
It's
like 4 hours north of here, so it's very comparable.
Yeah. Okay. So Winnipeg must have been, no, the Mennonites. Or the Mennonites are in Winnipeg?
Yeah, there's actually a Canadian Mennonite University is in Winnipeg, and I went there for my undergraduate degree. And prior to that, I was, grew up on a honey farm 45 minutes southeast of Winnipeg. But yeah, pretty similar to similar weather to what we've got here.
Have you been outside of the Midwest in America then? I mean, so you've been here for a while. Have you traveled around very much, or?
A little bit. I mean, not too much. I think, went down to Texas for a wedding. I went to Chicago and New Orleans for different conventions, different points in time.
Well, so the question is, and I don't know, maybe you won't have much of a perspective on it because, like you said, it's almost the same weather. And I'm thinking about Canada and how everywhere is cold. So you would have, it's not like you get people who come from warm climates, right? I mean, when you're in Canada, everybody's from the same cold Canadian climate, right?
You know what? On the West Coast, it's a very different story because, like, West Coast, like Vancouver, it's kind of like, Vancouver, they don't
BC,
see. Yeah, it's different. I think there's a feeling of like, okay, this is when they come to experience Manitoba, it's different.
Okay, so the question is, does the weather really make people hardy, or is it just cope? Are we different? Are we look, when I meet someone and they tell me they're from California, I go, California? Oh, you wimp weakling, you're not one of the tough, you be here a few years, you'll be one of us, but you just came, oh boy, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's my instant reaction, but is that just because I feel I have is it my sour grapes where I'm like, I gotta put up with this weather, so it makes me special and tough, or is it just cope?
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. I've got this song that I wrote called Fargo Feels, and it is kind of one of the lines is, well, the good thing about this cold is it keeps out the thin-skinned folks.
Okay.
And the idea of, well, yeah, maybe there is something to it, but I think, people come here and you can learn to love it. There's a lot to love here.
Nothing against Californians. I'm not saying that you can't come here and be one of us. I'm saying that if you're not one of us, you don't stay, right? Like, you gotta, I call it our immigration policy. You gotta be this tough to live here, right?
Yeah.
There's something about, like, cause you have to have a car. Like, you can't not have a car in
That's
Fargo.
it, pretty much.
You have to have your stuff together enough where you own and operate. If you can't maintain owning a car, you're gonna go live somewhere else. Like, and that's a filter.
That's a great way to use it. It's like a filter. I think there is, certain people who will be like, yeah, we'll make it work, and sometimes they gotta, do a little creative movement in order to get through that filter to get there. But
We're
people
all
who end up here,
problem solvers.
That's it. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. All right. Last question, real quick. Do you drink your water room temperature or chilled?
I probably more room temperature. Sometimes I'll even drink like 3/4 hot, 1/4 cold, just to kind of. Yeah, I know. Like with
you don't like cold water at all, so you don't put ice in your water.
I'll enjoy cold water on a really hot day.
Sure.
But if
What about soda pop? I mean, some people just leave cans out and they'll just drink a room temperature can of soda.
Ooh, yeah. No, I prefer cold.
Yeah.
But every now and then it's just like, man, I need the caffeine. Like, I'm gonna do what I got.
I ain't waiting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is all the time for soda pop we have. We're gonna jump out when we come back. Everyone's favorite segment, Fargo Favorites. So don't go nowhere.